This video is dedicated to James Humphreys. James, thank you. Tuvasa the Sunlit versus Kumena, Tyrant of Orazca, Muldrotha the Gravetide, and Intet the Dreamer. We have got a couple of enchantresses, mana bloom's decent, some removal, yep, we're keeping that. Eternal Witness for us. Let's just go and grab ourselves a green and blue source in tapped, and we'll pass the turn, probably going in for mana bloom and keeping our fingers crossed for a land next turn. Elves of Deep Shadow for the Muldrotha player. Friend of the channel, by the way, Judester. Don't know how you pronounce that, but I think it's the Judester. And then we've got Mattisman94 playing Intet the Dreamer. And then an internet random on Kumena, Tyrant of Orazca. Always been interested in Merfolk Tribal, so very intrigued to see how they perform here. They just get themselves into a Simic Signet and still no land for us, so we're going to go in for the Mana Bloom where X is 1. And then we can get down Citizen Champion or our Commander next turn. Might even go for Eidolon of Blossoms because it triggers itself if we get into a land next turn. Deranged Assistant for Mattisman. It's funny that he plays that because we've just had a game crash where he wanted to play a... oh, what was it? Anyway, it was a 2-mana blue removal spell. He thought that this tapped for blue, so tapped this down to pay a cost, but he only had this and a colourless source that were available to him, so the game wouldn't allow him to back out of casting the spell, and he wasn't able to cast the spell. And the reason he couldn't back out of casting the spell is because he couldn't undo the Deranged Assistant because he had milled something, so it's just something to be wary of. If you've got Deranged Assistant, tap it down for mana first before you click the spell, and it's just one of those weird bugs on Magic Online that, yeah, I don't really see how they could get around that, to be honest. Maybe allowing you to back out of casting spells once you've started to pay a cost. Anyway, a Sylvan Library from Muldrotha and Temple of Mystery from the Simic player. Then the first commander of the game, Kumena, coming into play. And we get into a land. It is a tap land, unfortunately, so... do we want to go for our commander? This is a better blocker, so I think we'll go for the Citizen Champion first. And then we'll play out the tap land. And we'll be able to recast the Mana Bloom next turn because it does return itself to our hand when it has no charge counters on it. And yeah, it looks like Mattisman, we were discussing it in the Discord. He's doing it what we think is the right way now, and tapping it down before he casts his spell, going for Bounty of the Luxor. Then it is Reliquary Tower into Coalition Relic for the Sultai player, and they tap that down for mana straight away, in for Swiftfoot Boots. Yeah, we got off to a really good start last game, so it's a shame that the game crashed. Crashed due to this thing not being able to cast the spell that Mattisman wanted it to. Looks like Muldrotha is the one getting off to a flying start this time. And the first Merfolk coming down, and it's a good one, from the 99, Mero Regere. It is a Lord, and whenever you cast a Merfolk spell, you can tap or untap target permanent. Then the commander is going to go over to the Teamer player. That's now a 3/5 thanks to the Lord. Mana Bloom comes back to our hand at the upkeep. Let's see if we manage to make a land this turn. If we don't, it's probably Tuvasa. Yeah, I think it has to be Tuvasa. Maybe Canestrid's Invocation, copy the Sylvan Library. No, it's an enchantment you control, so no luck there. Well, we get into a Utopia Sprawl at least. So it's Utopia Sprawl onto the Canopy Vista, I think. And then maybe we'll draw into a card, into a land even, with the Citizen Champion. We'll say blue with that, because then we can cast Tuvasa this turn. Alright, and we do manage to get into a land. It is a Dryad Arbor, unfortunately, but not to worry. We'll go in for our commander. And then play the Dryad Arbor, and that can be us done for the turn. A Rattleclaw Mystic coming down from the Teamer player now. They decide to put a charge counter this time on the Coalition Relic. And then it is Secrets of the Dead. That will keep them in cards when they get their commander down. Unfortunately, they do have Swiftfoot Boot, so I don't fancy our odds of getting imprisoned in the moon onto Muldrotha. Going for Stitcher's Supplier, milling themselves 3. They get Barren Moor, Tranquil Thicket, another cycle card, and then Terastodon as well. Oh, that's a good new one from the Jumpstart set, Branching Evolution. So they are looking to take advantage of plus counters, clearly. Okay, Aura of Silence, that's quite a nice one. We've got... yeah, we're still missing lands, aren't we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe we get into a land when we go Grasp of Fate, although we won't have anywhere near enough white mana to cast Aura of Silence and Grasp of Fate. I was thinking of getting rid of some stuff over here. Yeah, okay, let's just go for the Grasp of Fate, start things off. We'll draw a couple of cards thanks to our 2 Enchantresses. Alright, getting into Archon of Sun's Grace, that's not a land. Got one more chance with the Citizen Champion. Grasp of Fate can go after the enchantment. We want to get rid of Kumena to force them to replay it. Now, there's an argument to be made for us going after the Mana Rock instead of Sylvan Library. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, if they drop a land next turn, they can't equip their Muldrotha. It also kind of encourages them to pay more life into Sylvan Library. I'm going to go for the Mana Rock here. And then hopefully we manage to make a land. We can go Estrid's Invocation onto the Grasp of Fate and get rid of the Sylvan Library. And no land for us, unfortunately, so let's go for Mana Bloom. Might as well put some mana into Mana Bloom so that we've got the mana for next turn. And I dare say we'll make a land here, but it is a little bit too late, unfortunately. Oh no, still not making a land. We only draw 1 card there, thanks to Tuvasa's ability, only giving us 1 card per turn. So in that case, I think we're just getting rid of something. For the Eternal Witness, let's take the Citizen Champion in towards the Merfolk player, and Tuvasa can go in at the Teamer player. Alright, the Simic Merfolk player just decided to scoop, said that they were being targeted. I don't think our opponent realises that we target everyone with Grasp of Fate. Yeah, and Matisman deciding to just take the hit and not cry about it. So we'll just have to go around to a 3-player game. Get rid of the Zendikar Resurgent. If we make a land next turn, we could cast that. But I'd rather not tap out into a big spell. I'd rather play lots of smaller spells if we can. Yeah, I was looking forward to seeing the Merfolk player there, but unfortunately don't get to see any of their deck really. Oh, a Knowledge Pool. I don't like the sound of that. There's some locks that you can get down with Knowledge Pool. Exiling a bunch of stuff off the top there. There is Parcel Beast. Some lands. Ravenous Chupacabra. Sheoldred. From us they've taken Calming Verse and Stasis Snare. So now we have to play around the Knowledge Pool, and I'm just thinking Stasis Snare gets rid of creatures, doesn't it? Yeah, can't get rid of the Knowledge Pool with the Stasis Snare, unfortunately. The Sultai player down to 30, and going in for Liliana Death's Majesty, which will turn into something else. I think they've got Sheoldred and Ravenous Chupacabra in the Knowledge Pool. And they do go for one of their own cards in Sheoldred, the Whispering one. So we're going to have to get rid of the Dryad Arbor. Swiftfoot Boots goes onto Sheoldred. And then the Sheoldred comes in at us. I think we might have to go for one of our own cards as well in the Calming verse. Not before we sacrifice a creature though. I don't think there's anything we can do with the Dryad Arbor mana. So let's just sacrifice it. Alright, and get into a land, that's good. So we'll play that straight away. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 mana. I think here we just go for the Aura of Silence. Oh, we've got 6 with Mana Bloom, haven't we? Yeah, anyway, I think we're still going for... Oh, maybe we go Darksteel Mutation just because it's cheaper. Yeah, let's go with Darksteel Mutation. And then with that, we'll go for the Calming verse, I think. We'll have to make sure to hold priority with this. In fact, let's just tap the mana down now. There we go, so that will destroy all enchantments we don't control. And we've got all our lands tapped down, so we will manage to keep hold of our own enchantments. Mainly just going after the Sylvan Library, although Secrets of the Dead is a good one to get rid of as well. Okay, we managed to get into another land. One of our opponents might go for Darksteel Mutation or the Ravenous Chupacabra. So, yeah, I think just getting down another Enchantress effect is alright here. Go for the Eidolon of Blossoms. And that'll be ready for us for next turn. Now, what do we go for here? I think we just go for Liliana. Yeah, let's just go for the Planeswalker. And then at least we'll be able to actually get an Enchantress card back, maybe. So let's mill 2 and make a zombie. And then we'll leave back blockers, assuming that we'll actually have creatures to block with. It encourages our opponent to remove them at least. The Temur player is going to have to sacrifice one of their mana dorks here, thanks to Sheoldred. We really need to get rid of the Swiftfoot Boots, as well as the Knowledge Pool. They get rid of the mill mana dork. Matisse Men playing a Curator's Ward into the Knowledge Pool. And swapping that out for Darksteel Mutation, which does go on to our Tuvasa. We can always sacrifice the Tuvasa to Sheoldred if we want to, just to knock the Darksteel Mutation off of that. Yeah, maybe we do that, and then Liliana it back, and we can always block Sheoldred with the Indestructible Tuvasa. Anyway, they get themselves a Terastodon. This destroys non-creature permanents, so they can actually get rid of Liliana with that, which they probably will. Hopefully they go after the Knowledge Pool as well. Oh, that's nasty, going after the mana there, so we're going to go down 2 mana. We've already lost a Dryad Arbor. So we go down to 3 lands. Grasp of Fate going down, and the Liliana goes down as well, so keeping the Knowledge Pool in play, surprisingly. So, yeah, in all honesty, that's probably us out of the game. I think we're getting too far behind here. We get some elephant tokens at least, but I'd obviously rather have the mana. And then Muldrotha the Gravetide comes down. They have a mana floating, a mana on the Coalition Relic. I dare say Muldrotha has won this one already. Yeah, the Knowledge Pool really messed us up there. Then Sheoldred swinging in at Intet. And then we have to sacrifice a creature. Do we get rid of Tuvasa? I mean, we're nowhere near casting it. We might as well keep an indestructible creature in play at the moment. So we'll get rid of a zombie. Mana Bloom is a cheap enchantment to cast at least. Alright, Green Sun Zenith can get us into another Enchantress. Let's drop a Forest. Maybe it's just Eternal Witness into Utopia Sprawl again. I think we're kind of forced to do that, unfortunately. So we'll just go with Eternal Witness. I mean, I've kind of given up at this point, to be honest. Stasis Snare gets rid of Sheoldred, I think. Although Ravenous Chupacabra encourages them to recast Sheoldred. Yeah, I think we'll go for the Ravenous Chupacabra. And then we'll put the Mana Bloom in the Knowledge Pool and we'll get our Eternal Witness for the Utopia Sprawl, having to jump through hoops, unfortunately, but that's what happens with the Knowledge Pool, as we all know. So Mana Bloom is just a 1 mana spell that we're trading out for our E-Witness. And then we'll grab the Utopia Sprawl. Can't cast it, unfortunately, but we can do some stuff with Green Sun Zenith next turn. Maybe just play that for a single green and then grab the Utopia Sprawl, put it on something. Intet the Dreamer coming in, so we've seen all of the commanders now. And that does manage to come down because it wasn't cast from their hand, by the way. Secrets of the Dead coming back out of the graveyard after we destroyed it previously. I was hoping that we'd managed to keep Muldrotha out of play, but haven't managed it, unfortunately. This looks like Sheoldred again, yep. And drawing a card with the Secrets of the Dead. And Knowledge Pool isn't triggering there because they're casting spells out of the graveyard, so the only one Knowledge Pool is hindering is the two of us. And we have to sacrifice a creature. Let's just get rid of the Eternal Witness. Get into a land, that's good that we're finally getting into the lands. So what order do we do things in here? We go Utopia Sprawl first. Or do we even want Utopia Sprawl at this point? Maybe we just want Archon of Sun's Grace? Yeah, let's concentrate on that first. So we'll go Archon of Sun's Grace. That goes into the Knowledge Pool as usual. And then we'll grab ourselves Eidolon of Blossoms, which will draw us a couple of cards from Eidolon of Blossoms entering. Okay, Smothering Tithe would be good to get next turn. So maybe we swap out Utopia Sprawl for Smothering Tithe. We've got a land to make next turn as well. Let's go for Green Sun Zenith, where X is 0. Nice useless card to put in the pool. And now we can grab ourselves the Archon of Sun's Grace. And hopefully start casting some enchantments next turn. Sheoldred encouraging Intet to get rid of their Mana Dort there. Didn't see what they cast into it there. A Barrier Breach. Exile up to 3 target enchantments. Muldrotha may well go for that next turn. Although, we've only got 1 enchantment of relevance in play at the moment, haven't we? Then they go for Stasis Snare. You would think they'd use that, yep, on Sheoldred. But then Sheoldred can just get rid of this, or the Muldrotha player can get rid of this next turn with the enchantment removal in Barrier Breach. Then Intet swings in at us. And we are not blocking. They do pay for their commander's cost and end up with a card off the top of their library. Now Artisan of Sorrow being put into the pool. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Yeah, so I'm curious as to see what Muldrotha does there, because I think they'd go for Barrier Breach. Maybe they go for the Artisan of Sorrow as well. Yeah, I do want to get rid of Swiftfoot Boots, but I also want to get rid of the Knowledge Pool. Anyway, they swap that out for Curator's Ward, going on to their commander. Yeah, I'll be intrigued to see what Muldrotha does here. Now casting Recross Paths, and they do get to keep that because it's off the top with Intet. So revealing cards off the top until they reveal a land. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom in any order. Then clash with an opponent. If you win, return it to its owner's hand. We reveal a Destiny Spinner off the top, so I dare say they are going to beat that. Oh good, they've got Possibility Storm in the deck as well, so yeah. Destiny Spinner is a nice cheap one to put in the pool, so we will keep that on top. Muldrotha casting a Seal of Primordium. That's a really good one for them. But they're obviously just doing what we're doing and putting cheap spells into there. I'd be very surprised if they didn't go for Barrier Breach, because they can get rid of this, the Stasis Snare, and the Eidolon of Blossoms. Instead going for the Artisan's Sorrow. which keeps the knowledge pool in play. That might have been why they went for that, so that we couldn't get rid of knowledge pool. Anyway, destroying the stasis snare to get their Sheoldred back. Then they go into cast Liliana, Death's Majesty, out of the graveyard, so they'll get to keep that. They also draw a card with Secrets of the Dead. I think our plan at the moment, assuming that we get to keep it, is go for the Seal of Primordium from our opponent. Yeah, and then get rid of the knowledge pool. It all depends on if Muldrotha actually decides to cast anything else or not. Yeah, they do have a Sylvan Library to cast still, but I dare say they don't want to put that in knowledge pool. Yeah, they go for a Sylvan Library out of the graveyard, so it looks as though we get to keep the Barrier Breach. The Seal of Primordium is what we're interested in, because I want to get rid of knowledge pool, especially if a Possibility Storm is coming down. I don't much fancy the game lasting for 4 hours. Anyway, a 9/9 going in towards the Teamer player. And then Sheoldred deciding to make us sacrifice something. Let's get rid of an elephant. I don't really want to give them back the Ravenous Chupacabra. I don't want to give them back the Seal of Primordium either, really, but it'll take too much setting up to get our Aura of Silence into the knowledge pool. I think we just have to give them back the Seal of Primordium. Let's play a land. Get the Tropical Island. We'll play Utopia Sprawl first of all. Get the Seal of Primordium. That will draw us some cards and get us into a Pegasus token because it is an enchantment. Alright, and we get into another Enchantress. Do we want to grab anything else? Might actually go for the Barrier Breach and get rid of these 2 enchantments before we go for destroying the knowledge pool. Yeah, so let's go for Destiny Spinner, and we'll cast the Barrier Breach. And I think Curator's Ward is, yeah, it's hexproof, so we'll get rid of that, and that. Then, is there anything else we don't mind losing from our hand? I don't think so. Or maybe we just have to go for Estrid's Invocation here, because no one's going to be taking that from our knowledge pool, I don't think, or our opponent's knowledge pool, I should say. So maybe we get back Mana Bloom because it's just cheap card draw. Yeah, let's go for the Mana Bloom here. We will get it back into our hand at the beginning of next turn, draw a couple of cards, get some Pegasus tokens. We'll be swinging in at Liliana as well. Alright, Enchanted Evening and Song of the Dryads changes things. I think we still have to get rid of Knowledge Pool before our next turn with the Seal of Primordium. And then maybe we can deal with Swiftfoot Boots and Muldrotha with a Song of the Dryads or Imprisoned in the Moon. In fact, we should be able to do that thanks to Aura of Silence. So yeah, let's swing in towards Liliana. We'll swing in at Liliana with the Citizen Champion as well, because I'm quite happy for them to double block there. They'll probably just chump with the Stitcher's Supplier. And that's exactly what they do. They actually don't have that many things in the graveyard. So they'll get 3 more cards here. I can't keep the graveyard open because Magic Online. But we knock Liliana down to 2. We gain 3 life as well because the flyer does have lifelink. And yeah, I think we leave it there. Our opponent is forced to sacrifice their Intet the Dreamer, unless they can play a creature at instant speed. Yeah, well, they do go straight in for the Possibility Storm. That's what I was worried about. The problem now... Okay, Estrid's Invocation, so they're just... Yeah, that's the best of a bad bunch, really. Bounty of Luxa is going to be the copy. Yeah, the problem we've got now is that if we sacrifice the Seal of Primordium, it gives it to Muldrotha to cast during their turn, but they don't really have any good targets apart from our Eidolon of Blossoms. I'm happy to lose that to not have Possibility Storm enter. So yeah, before they cast another spell, let's just get rid of that now, so that the Possibility Storm has no chance of coming out here, unless they've got an instant speed spell, which they might have. Alright, managing to get rid of that, that's really good. Possibility Storm is a giant pain in the arse to play around. And with that, Matisman deciding to pass the turn, they went for, instead of going after the Bounty of Luxor, decided to go for a copy of Darksteel Mutation. I thought they had to copy an enchantment you control. Oh, of course, the Darksteel Mutation is owned by us, but it's controlled by the Teamer player because they cast it out of the knowledge pool. So yeah, I didn't think of that. Darksteel Mutation being made a copy of by the Estrid's Invocation going onto Sheoldred. Didn't look in Sheoldred's graveyard actually. They have Underrealm Lich available to them now, casting a Perpetual Timepiece and milling 2 cards with that. They have the Seal of Primordium, which we know about, so they can blow up the Darksteel Mutation here if they want to. Can't keep the graveyard open, because why would you need to be able to do that against a graveyard player? Kaya's Ghost Form, and a Simic Signet as well, I think. Going for the Underrealm Lich. And then a Greater Good, which is pretty damn good with the Terastodon in play. They will draw 9 and discard 3. And do you ever really discard in Muldrotha? Anyway, sacrificing their Sheoldred, which gets rid of the Estrid's Invocation. Makes them go down to only 1 card in hand though, because they had to discard 3. Muldrifter, Labman, and a Temple. Now the problem is, our opponent can sacrifice their commander to the Greater Good. Yeah, so I was hoping we were actually going to get somewhere then, but apparently not. So maybe we go for Song of the Dryads onto Greater Good. We'll need 3, 6, 9 mana in total. If we want to go Song, Imprisoned and Aura of Silence, I don't think no, we're nowhere near enough. Land tax might be useful. Let's go for Flooded Strand. And we'll go for a Tundra. Yeah, I think we have to go for Song of the Dryads. Actually, let's go Aura of Silence first. See what we draw into. We might get into an Oblivion Ring or something like that for the Greater Good. Getting another token and a couple of cards. Alright, Replenish is good to keep hold of. And we've got another land to make for next turn. Now, we've got to be careful with what we do here. I think we just need to play it cool for now. We go Song of the Dryads, although that's the problem. They've got their enchantment removal back, haven't they, in Seal of Primordium? Yeah, this is the problem with Muldrotha. We need to exile this, really. And then get rid of Muldrotha in the same turn. Maybe we just play out a lot of enchantments and rely on our opponent destroying them and then go for a replenish and do everything at once. Yeah, let's go Song of the Dryads onto the sack outlet and do more things. Okay, and then we can go for a Wild Growth. Quarantine Field would have been good before now. Might be useful for next turn, because then we'll be able to go Quarantine Field, get rid of some stuff, and then hopefully Imprisoned in the Moon on their commander. Yeah, we just need to hope that they don't cast Seal of Primordium and just leave it in play. Anyway, let's go for Wild Growth onto our forest. And I've no idea what we're going to discard here. Probably just a load of enchantments for the replenish to grab. Alright, there's Ajani's Chosen to make some more tokens. Let's go through to combat. We'll get rid of the Liliana. And we'll start dealing some damage to the Muldrotha player. Yeah, we'll swing in for 10 damage at the Muldrotha player as well. They'll probably just chump block it, but it takes them down a creature at least. Chump blocking with the zombie, and taking 4 in the air, we get rid of the Liliana. And that's the end of the turn. We have to get rid of 4 cards. So that can be a land, land tax, Enchanted Evening, and probably Mana Bloom. Yeah, let's get rid of Mana Bloom. Probably shouldn't have gotten rid of Mana Bloom, actually. Probably should have gotten rid of Smothering Tithe, because that's a good one to reanimate. Oh well. Recross Paths coming back. And this time it is a Gruul Turf. Mattismen just deciding to recast their commander. Sheoldred, the Whispering One, coming out yet again. Straight from our opponent's graveyard. What else do they have in there now? They've got a Rogue's Passage, Eldest Reborn as well. Luckily we've got plenty of tokens. It will cost them 4 mana if they want to get into the Seal of Primordium again, although it looks like they're trying to cast their Liliana. Nope, going for Kakusho, the Evening Star. Not sure if that came from the graveyard or their hand. Don't suppose it really matters. Yeah, so that's really good. They go for mill 2 at the end of the turn as well. Really good that they don't end up with Seal of Primordium in play. So we can get rid of Muldrotha pretty well, I think, next turn. We could tap out for Quarantine Field, get rid of Swiftfoot Boots, Kakusho, and Sheoldred, but yeah, I think we leave Sheoldred in play to deal with this. Alright, so if we go for Quarantine Field, where X is 2, that'll be 6 mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We'll have 3 left over for the Imprisoned in the Moon, which means we can go get rid of Kakusho and Sheoldred, and then Imprisoned in the Moon on their commander. Yeah, let's do that. So we'll get rid of the Swiftfoot Boots. We'll be forced to sacrifice with Sheoldred. Let's get rid of an elephant. Okay, Seal of Cleansing is destroy an artifact or enchantment as well. Don't think we need that now. Let's go for the Imprisoned in the Moon first of all, before I tap too much mana. They've only got 1 card in hand, so getting rid of their Muldrotha switches off their graveyard. And that does enter. Now we just need to get rid of the Kakusho, and we'll be able to start turning our flyers in sideways at them. Do we need to get rid of Sheoldred? I'm just trying to think now. Maybe we get rid of Underrealm Lich and leave Sheoldred in play. We don't really care about her, do we? And it deals with Intet nicely. Yeah, let's go for the Quarantine Field, where X is 2. And we'll point those at the Kakusho and the Underrealm Lich. And we're going to get another chance to discard the Smothering Tithe at the end of the turn, so that's good. Get those out of the way, and now let's turn things sideways. I'm not going to turn the Cetizen Champion in over here, because they'll be able to chump bot with Sheoldred, and then maybe Intet will do something bad next turn. We'll go in with all the flyers. Muldrotha doesn't take them out, unfortunately. Let's take the Cetizen Champion in at the Teamer player. Alright, and Muldrotha decided to scoop at that. Yeah. Okay, well, we've not done declaring attackers yet, so it looks like we win this turn. Our opponent really shouldn't have done that, because that screws over the Teamer player here. So the Teamer and the Muldrotha player were going to get another turn to do something there, but yeah, they're not going to get the chance now. We'll just swing in at everything, and apparently this game's over. Apologies to Mattismen. He, like I said, he was going to get another turn there, but not now. Oh, we didn't swing in with the Cetizen Champion. Why did... Oh, right, whatever. Okay, it turns out that Mattismen is going to get a turn after all. We'll get rid of the Smothering Tithe and some lands. Yeah, should have won there, but obviously I don't know. Maybe there was some lag there, or I just didn't click the Citizen Champion. Mosswort Bridge coming down now. And they'll get a hideaway card. Won't be able to cast it this turn, I wouldn't have thought. We're just trying to dodge a board wipe at this point. Lurking predators from our opponent, so it looks like they might just be having a bit of fun with us. They could still go for Blasphemous Act. I was going to say our opponent's just passing the turn and I thought they might have an Aetherize up, but then deciding to recast the Recross Paths. We've got Serra's Sanctum. Definitely put that on top. Don't think we're going to need it next turn though. We're going to get straight through to combat and turn sideways if our opponent allows it. They go recross the paths again. And again it's Serra's Sanctum. Haven't been looking at my opponent's revealed cards actually. They can beat a Serra's Sanctum, I dare say. Well, revealed a Sphinx of Athun. Alright, we'll just play the Serra's Sanctum. I think we're going straight into combat. We should have it here. So let's attack with all creatures, apart from those two, just in case I mess combat up again. But our opponent's only got 1 mana, so that should be it. And there we go. Gave our opponent an extra turn unnecessarily, but managing to take them out anyway. Managing to beat the Chaos deck in Knowledge Pool and Possibility Storm. Possibility Storm very nearly snuck out on us. And managed to beat Muldrotha as well, which did seem to be dominating quite a bit of the game there. So very happy with that result. I thought that we were a goner. As soon as we started losing our lands, we lost 3 mana across a couple of turns at one point. But it's like I always say, it's not over till it's over, so you shouldn't quit before you've actually lost the game, because you never know what's going to happen. That's why we play this format. Anyway, hopefully you all enjoyed it. Be sure to leave it a thumbs up and comment if you did. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.